Action.
Hi guys, it's Christian Summers from Expert Sports Performance here. I'm the head strength conditioning coach. I'll be the one that does the monthly programmes and doing the critical training series of Austin throughout the summer. Now we're on to episode 2 of the critical training series, which is optimal exercise selection for rugby performance, which basically means the best exercise choice for you and your sport. First things first, when picking exercises for your sport to help you out, is making sure the exercise is functional. What functional basically means is, does the exercise have carryover into your sport? Will it help with your performance, or is there an exercise that is better that will have more carryover to your sport? Right? Obviously with functional exercises, they tend to be single leg for most sports, because say for a rugby an example, it's rare that you're going to produce in force through both feet at the same time. More often than not, you're either producing force through one arm at once, or through one foot at one time, through either running, sprinting, handing off, etc. So you usually do functional exercises are usually single leg or single arm, with the added benefit obviously that you'll develop proprioception, which is knowing where your body is in space and time, so as well as balance and stability, which all kind of fits into the same bracket, which has the increased benefit of providing injury prevention. Yeah. However, when you're picking functional exercises, usually the more functional exercise is, the more difficult it also is as well. So for example, a hip dominant exercise like a single leg stiff leg deadlift requires a lot more stabilisation, balance, and is a lot more complex than something like a hamstring curl or just a bilateral both legs on the floor deadlift. Yeah. However, obviously the single leg deadlift is going to have the added benefits of stabilisation of the knee, hip, ankle as well. So it's going to have more carryover to your sport. So this is where we have to kind of weigh up the functionality of an exercise and the athlete's ability to complete the exercise. So here we have the example of, so we have functionality and competency, so the athlete's competency in that exercise, yeah? So you have to weigh up whether an athlete that's never really done much weights before, if they're struggling and unable to balance in order to do, say, a split squat where one leg's on the floor at once, or a single leg squat, if they're struggling to do that and they're losing the balance all the time, are they really going to be able to produce a lot of force through the floor? So they're not really going to be able to get stronger, they're not be able to get a lot out of the exercise yet. So what you have to do then is you kind of have to take a step back, maybe master an exercise that works the same muscles but requires less stability and less balance. So for example, a knee dominant exercise, the basic one's a bodyweight squat. Say if someone can't properly do that, you're not going to then progress them onto a single leg squat. It just doesn't make any sense, and they're not going to be able to produce any force through the floor and not going to be able to make any strength gains. Yeah. So say for someone, you might have them do like a goblet squat for example, or if they're even struggling with that, you might have them take them way back and have a machine assisted squat, but it all depends on what they're able to do. Obviously you master one exercise and move on to the next. Right, so now we're going to give you some examples of what types of exercises you can do for each body part. To make it more basic and just simple for the sake of the video, we've put these into the different sections of upper, lower, core and power exercises. In the upper lower we've separated this into push-pull, and with lower we've further separated this into knee dominant and hip dominant. So first of all we'll start at the top. So an upper push exercise that might be, say, highly functional, might be a single arm dumbbell press. Yeah? You're having to stabilise your core as well as the dumbbell in your shoulder itself, yeah? However, if an athlete really struggles with this, a regression might be 2 arms at once, dumbbell press. A regression again might be a barbell bench press. A regression again from that might be a push-up. Now obviously larger athletes are going to struggle with push-ups just due to the obviously weigh more, so the stabilisation of the core muscles is a lot higher. But on average with most athletes, most rugby league athletes, you would regress to a push-up first if they're unable to perform free weight exercises. Pulling exercises. So, say quite a low functional exercise for a pull-up that's not really going to have much carryover. Might be like a machine pull down that's in a fixed range of motion, like the techno gym ones you see in some gyms. A highly functional one might be a single arm pull down on a cable on one knee. Here you're having to stabilise your shoulder, your torso, your hip and your knee all at once, and you're also having to pull with one arm. So it's all about working the same kind of muscles, but also making them functional, making them carry over sport with adding stabilisation to it. With the lower body, knee dominant exercises, so we'll call these like squats, lunges, etc. So a really easy knee dominant exercise would be a leg press, which would obviously get you stronger, but the carryover to your sport is a lot less than say a single leg squat or a split squat with your rear foot elevated. Now obviously if you can't do the single leg squat, regress back, use an exercise that requires less stabilisation but still works the same muscles that you can get strong on. So a goblet squat somewhere in between both an exercise, and so is a front squat or a back squat. Hip dominant exercises. So an easy hip dominant exercise that a lot of people can do is trap bar deadlifts. Obviously, based on the shape and the way the athlete's built, this might become a bit more of a knee dominant exercise. But you've kind of got to use you can have a video yourself or get someone else to watch you and tell you whereabouts you're moving the weight from mostly. Yeah, because if you're squatting the weight up, it's more of a knee dominant exercise. If you're hinging at the hips and your hips coming forwards, it's more of a hip dominant exercise, obviously. But that's an exercise that a lot of people can do properly, so it's an easy one to incorporate. Another quite, not easy, but one that athletes can pick up after a few weeks is a stiff leg deadlift or a Romanian deadlift. Now, if we progress them on something that might require more stabilisation and that might have more high functionality towards your sport, would be a single leg stiff leg deadlift. Obviously what we discussed earlier, the added stabilisation benefits, yeah? Right, with core, I'd recommend that all athletes should be able to do 3 sets of 30 seconds core, or at least 1 set of a 30-second perfect plank, sorry, not core, plank. So the plank exercise is kind of just like the baseline that I'd say for a core exercise. If an athlete can't complete 30 seconds of a perfect plank, I'd work my way up there by doing 15 seconds, 20, 25, 30, each session twice a week. If they're really struggling, if they're a really large athlete, start with their knees on the floor and then progress forwards. But that would be like kind of my baseline for a core exercise. As you get a bit more advanced, an example of a quite complex, a bit more difficult exercise for core that requires more stabilisation would be something like stir the pot with an exercise ball, which is basically you're in the plank position with your forearms on an exercise ball and you just basically, stir in the pot. So you're turning one way clockwise and then the other way anti-clockwise. And what you're basically doing is the ball's moving further away from you, stressing your abdominals a bit more, yeah? As well as the rest of your core. With power exercises, there's a bit more brackets of this. So basically it's just all about moving fast, producing a lot of force quickly. So your rate of force development, being able to, these are the exercises that are going to have a lot of carryover after you've built your strength. So getting strong and getting powerful, that's going to help you get fast, yeah? But for exercises that are going to develop power, one that's obviously a highly complex exercise that'll have a lot of carryover to a lot of sports is Olympic lifts and the derivatives of them. If you do want to try Olympic lifts, make sure you have someone show you who's competent in them themselves, because these can be quite complex and sometimes quite dangerous, especially with how competitive athletes can be when they're trying to stack the weights up. If you are going to complete these, I'd start with something from a hang position. I don't see the need to go from the floor, because you're able to produce a lot of force from this position and it's easy to pick up, and the exercise is still highly useful. Another group of exercises that are good to develop in core are like kettlebell exercises, so kettlebell swings, etc. Quite easy to pick up. And then there's also more rotational medicine ball exercises. So medicine ball throws to the walls, medicine ball slams, etc. They're quite easy. They're all easy to pick up exercises that are really ballistic. And also we've got plyometrics. With plyometrics, this is the one where I can kind of really go into. You can start at a low level and you can build your way up. Now, when I say plyometrics, I don't mean true plyometrics as in trying to limit your time on the ground. So a true plyometric would be you jumping off a bench, having minimal contact time on the floor and getting back up as high as you can. That would be like a true plyometric example. But you can develop your way into that by just learning how to decelerate properly off a jump. So, for example, if you want to start plyometrics and done them before, I'd recommend doing a 3-week block, say, of just doing box jumps. Say, if you're doing 4 sessions a week, 25 jumps per session, say, split up into like 5 sets of 5 at the beginning of your session where you've got the most power. And I'd just say the main coaching points would be, you don't need a super high box, it's more so just a cue as the box, so you're actually having something to jump to. And the idea is jump and then decelerate and have a soft landing. So you want your landing on the box to be as quiet as possible. That would be like the first exercise you'd do. Say if you've never done it before, and then as you progress and you get loads and loads better, then you can start doing stuff like hurdle bounds with no break between each hurdle. So say if you do 5 hurdle bounds, you jump over one, soon as you land, jump again, soon as you land, jump again, soon as you land, jump again. Obviously, if you start doing them straight away, you're not going to get much out of them because your power development usually isn't going to be that good unless you're a top class athlete. So yeah, but we'll go into plyometrics as another topic if you want to learn more about that in another video. And as to remember, as I mentioned earlier, the main thing is all the exercises that I mentioned above, apart from the power exercises, mostly with these, is you need to get strong on them. Because once you get strong on these, that's when you get more powerful, that's when you get more fast. Because as we know, lower limb strength has got a high correlation with jump performance in athletes, and jump performance has got a high correlation with sprint speed, yeah? So it all starts from getting strong. I'm Christian Summers from Expert Sports Performance. That's been episode 2 of the Critical Training Series, Optimal Exercise Selection for Rugby Performance. Cheers guys.